It's tough. It's any final that you lose or game that you lose at the end of the season is tough. I guess the beauty of the current situation that we're in is that we've got a massive game this weekend. It's another final this weekend, effectively. We have to win this to keep going in Europe. So we were sort of aware of this. We put full focus into the game last week, and it was very tough to take from a staffing point of view and from a player's point of view. And we've given them a couple of days off. We've come back in for the first day this week today, and we're moving forward. And I think that's the beauty of where we're at right now, is that we've got something to focus on. If we didn't have that, it would be hurting for a lot longer. Yeah, you've got to be careful with emotion. It was a big game last week, and we built ourselves up through the week. And I really did feel that we peaked energy-wise during the game, and it's tough to come back from that. You put a lot of energy into that, and like I said, we gave the guys a couple of days off to try and reinvigorate them. This morning's been a slow start. We've been, cruising through the stuff that we want to implement this week. This afternoon will be a good session, and we'll get a really good feel for where the team's at. But we don't want to peak too early. We know it's obviously a final for us, but we don't want to peak too early, and we certainly want to build, and we want to be mentally and physically refreshed come Saturday, as opposed to right now. Not out the back of that game. We're not trying to prove anything to anyone outside of ourselves. We certainly haven't got a grudge against Toulouse or anything like that. We want to play the game that we want to play, and there were facets of that game that came out well on the weekend, but it wasn't a complete performance. And we've looked at our fundamentals. We've focused on those in the meetings this morning. We want to make sure that we're back to those this weekend. Well, first and foremost, experience. Springbok A's, experience in Japan, albeit a different competition, playing for the Bulls in South Africa. He's a South African forward. He knows the tough stuff. He gives us coverage in all positions in the back five. I'm not going to put him in the front row, but he can certainly play every position in the back five. And I think he's going to bring experience to all of those players, whether they're young or older in the team. He's going to give us good experience there.
I was just saying about the belief element. Look, it's a fair question, but we've experienced enough players. We can't let it damage our belief. We have a huge game again this week, and we're confident with what we've done in Europe thus far, and we obviously have a huge challenge again. So as one of the more experienced players, I certainly won't be. I think we're going in the right direction, and we're confident in what we're doing. So we'll keep building. And look, obviously everyone deals with these things differently. So, if I kind of did notice throughout the week that a couple of the younger lads or whatever were maybe, dwelling on it a bit or whatever, then you just got to use your experience there and try and grab them and bring them along with you. Because obviously we have a huge challenge coming up, so that we're definitely not shying away from that. No, I don't think we have a psychological hang-up. Like, we totally believed we were going to win the game, and to be honest, I thought at half-time, they'd given us some really good attack in the first half, especially in our 22, and we held them out, and, I kind of felt at half-time that, they'd thrown a lot at us and we handled it and we were ready to kick on, and look, it just didn't happen. I don't think it's psychological, but we have to give Leinster credit. They're a really, really good team, there's no point in denying that. So I think, it would be wrong to say that we have a psychological hang-up, but at the same time, they're hard to beat, and, that's obviously evidenced in the last few times we've gone out against them. Yeah, well, last week, like I said, we had huge belief that we were going to win, and, you let yourself drift in certain parts of the week where you're thinking about that feeling, because it has been a long wait, and particularly myself and some lads have been through more, there's been a lot of semi-finals, the final against Scarlets. So there's that huge belief, and you just only believe it's going to happen, and then it doesn't. And, obviously that is, quite draining, and I think it was probably a good decision not coming in yesterday, and that kind of gives you a chance to, get away from rugby a bit, get your head right. And, today, we've done an incredibly physical session already with the forwards, and, I think that just kind of knocks the cobwebs out and, physically allows you, kind of get over the mental element of it, and you kind of feel now at this point that we're kind of back into it and we're building for next week. So, I think it's more when you have the week off maybe at the end of it, or, that you kind of go, wow, that was tough, but when I kind of feel we're in the middle of it now and you just got to keep going, that's that's the gig. Unfortunately, you know, at times there's big blocks like this where there's a lot of mentally tough and physically tough games in a row, and that's what you prepare all year for. So now, you know, we got to start, you know, putting that to use. And Toulouse won't care that we lost last week against Leinster. So, you know, that's the reality of it. They're going to come to Thomond Park, you know, for blood. And we got to be ready to match that physically. So you got to kind of maybe move on from the mental a small bit. But you're right, they are hard. You know, I'm not saying they're not, but it's kind of one of those things that can't really be a crutch or an excuse. You just got to knock those cobwebs off early in the week, which I think we've done this morning, and kind of get back on the horse, as they say, you know. I think I said it to you before when I was out injured, you know, that it's those nights you really miss when you're injured. It's when you're sitting up in, you know, the box with the fans and you're kind of going, oh, I give anything to be down there. So no, not for me anyway. I definitely love those nights, those big European nights in Thomond Park. And, you know, I think one thing that really hit home at the weekend was just some of the messages I got, you know, before and after the game. You know, at this point, the COVID, it's been so long since we've had fans, you can kind of forget about it, but there's just so many people that genuinely want us to win and are just genuinely rooting for us all the time. And people that, you know, it was emotionally draining for a lot of the fans as well the last day, and you can tell that when they're texting you and stuff afterwards. So I just think it would be huge for us if we can just give them something now, you know, because we've brought them to the peak emotionally, we'll say, against Leinster last week, and, you know, we didn't get over the line. So I think this week will be huge, you know, for us and them. And I think, you know, it's like any other European week, it's going to be huge. And look, Toulouse are obviously the exact same. They're a huge European team, and they'll be coming all guns blazing. So got to get ready for that, and, you know, hopefully we can give the fans something to share about.